All right, everyone, welcome back here. This is game number two coming at you between Hex on the Legion side and Donkey Kong on the Hellborn side. Once again, going to be joined by BKB. So, what'd you think of game number one, BKB? We had the artillery versus predator slash calamity battle going on as Hex took that one with the overly farm predator.
Yeah, I thought the game was really enjoyable to watch. As I kind of had a feeling, did think Predator combined with the Empath was going to be a little bit too strong for Legion. Um, but no, I think team play was what kind of decided it in the end. The way they pushed the Predators, we saw got the quad kill, almost got the annihilation, which was stolen by Lodestone. And the hero and the way it went into that mid gate to late game transition with his items, especially the demonic breastplate, I don't think Legion had enough to kind of counteract it. We did see obviously a couple of buybacks from artillery, but Predator was just so difficult and so slippery to kill. So in the end, Predator did prevail, and it was really good game to watch and something I did enjoy.
Yep, I thought it was a very exciting game number one. So the series got me pretty hyped. Hopefully, we'll see some more. I don't want to call them fun picks, but like off meta or not your conventional carry versus carry matchups. I think always exciting to watch. Well, that's a little unexciting, but we'll talk about that in a sec. As we'll go through the bands first, we have Sir Bensington, Ophelia, and Pebbles. I think two of these are the same from Hex, and the third one being the Pebbles, as Donkey Kong picked that one up in game number one. They're going to address the Pebbles here. Monarch, Kinesis, and Lord Sulfuras. So again, I think two of those are the same. The Monarch was played last game, so they swap up a band there. But guess who doesn't get banned? The Calamity. Do you feel like the Calamity should be addressed here, as Nuki kind of played that near flawlessly in game number one, and also the Draconis, which I'll get to in a second, but I'll let you talk about the bans first if there's anything you want to add. Uh,
Um, your point about Calamity was interesting. If I'm honest, I'm not too surprised they didn't ban it because I think with the scrims and the versatility of the hero selections, I don't think that it makes sense for them to play Calamity two games. Everybody watching knows how strong the hero is. It does have a lot of potential, and it has been one of the most picked heroes in the most recent tournaments that we've casted. So I don't think it's going to be picked again. In terms of the other bands, Sir Bensington, a band that we saw last game. We saw Ophelia last game banned. Pebbles was not banned. He was picked instead. So that's quite interesting because I don't really feel like Pebbles dictated that game or was anything to be too scared about.
yeah.
Sarforius band's interesting. I think Snooki is a very strong Sarforius player, so that would probably be the reasoning behind that one. We now see Martyr, Swiftblade, and Gemini banned. Gemini is a ban against 4. Swiftblade is a ban against possibly Probusk. I'm not too sure, but I think the hero in general is very good. Um, and yeah, that's what kind of stands out to myself. Um, I'll let you go into the picks.
So we had a first pick Rampage coming out, which if there's a team to pick Rampage, it's typically Hex, as they have a very renowned Rampage player in Dude. He plays that one on the second support. I want to say pretty flawlessly, actually.
Yeah,
Almost every single time I see him play the Rampage, it looks like, as a spectator, and this is not as a player, this is as a spectator, it looks hella annoying to play against. And that's like the best way I could describe it. I can only imagine not only having to lane against Nookie on a strong hero, but having to have a Rampage charging in your face every so often. That's got to be very frustrating. So they get their hands on the Rampage. They're going to, more likely than not, look to be very annoying here in game number two. We see the Rhapsody and the Deadwood, so a little bit more conventional picks, I'll call them, coming out here from Donkey Kong. They pick up, a strong support with the Rhapsody with the heals and the Deadwood as an initiator, uh, perhaps to deal with that Rampage, as he has some ways to deal with the charge, with the log throws, and the Willowmaker, as well as Rampage is a strength hero. We also see the Draconis, which is what I was kind of hinting at in the picks. Draconis making it through the bans here, so we're going to get to see some Draconis action. More likely than not, that will be played by Snooki, where they might actually run it mid. They do run that mid sometimes, and sometimes they run it jungle, so We'll have to see how they choose to run that Draconis, but I am expecting them to stack the entire jungle for him, and we'll probably see like a level 9 or 10 Draconis at like 6 minutes, and it'll be uh, probably silly, but that's kind of the nature of the hero, unfortunately. So they pick up the bubbles to kind of give him some lockdown for that volcano. I really like the bubbles pick in conjunction with the Draconis. Um, I think you touched on the first three bans. I'll finish it off with the last three. They banned the Predator and the Gauntlet on the side of Hex, and the Midas gets banned out from Donkey Kong. So the Midas ban is a little interesting. I think I've seen Hex run Bubbles and Midas as some kind of duo offlane in the past, which is kind of interesting because I don't think there's like a whole lot of synergy there, other than they have multiple escapes and they're kind of both split pushers, which kind of makes space for the Draconis. But um, what do you think about the Midas ban? Or the other two as well?
Um, the Midas ban, I'm not too sure about. I don't really think Midas is a hero that's particularly ban worthy.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you'd agree with me. But I think Midas. I think the potential with Midas really comes from setting up with other heroes. So if
Yeah.
you have a hero like a Magmus, like a Behemoth, for example, which we don't tend to see too often, but those kind of heroes do synergize incredibly well with Midas because it gives him the easy potential to land his combo and deal high amounts of damage. But what I think Midas really brings a massive threat to is the way that he split pushes, because what you can do is you can nuke the creep waves, very easily with Q and W,
Right.
especially in the higher levels once you max your ultimate. But you can also do it from a range that kind of keeps you a little bit safe. So you don't need to kind of go all the way up. So let's say if you're playing a hero like Bubbles, for example, Bubbles will shell serve, silence, and then try and get out with his PK or whatever.
Right.
But with Midas, you can stun the wave from a distance, and it gives you so much potential to split push. Obviously, you have an escape ability too, which is also always very useful for either jumping in and setting up or trying to get out. But I still don't think the hero is really worth the ban unless you've got a particular player that plays it incredibly well. As you mentioned, they could run it in that kind of dual lane setup, which is quite promising. But I do think, yeah, it's not strong enough to really see in my eyes why it's banned. So it has to be for that reason that you did mention, which is a very good reason. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on Midas. But I love the hero myself. I think it's a fantastic hero.
So you mentioned it being paired with something like a Magmus, and something that I noticed is in both games we've had a Kinesis blind ban, but we haven't had a Magmus pick or ban. So Magmus has been ignored um, in both games so far. Does that surprise you as well?
Um, yeah, it does. It really does. I think it surprises me in the sense that Magnus is generally considered probably the top five hero, one of the top five heroes in the game at the moment, and it has been for years in my eyes because it hasn't really been changed. It's still been incredibly useful for so many reasons.
Mm,
But then you think about how Magnus is used. It's generally fairly one-dimensional. So I think when you kind of play against a Magmus or you play it yourself, you sort of know what it's going to do. It's either going to kind of roam around or it's going to try and farm in the mid lane. So it can be a little bit predictable. But then I think there is obviously a lot of potential for if you really want to try and go out to win these scrims. Magmus is always one of the top tier picks that you can always go for. So I think it's the fact that they probably know what to do with it, and that's their kind of reasoning behind not picking it, or perhaps they don't have the synergy they quite like to fit in with the Magma Stun and Eruption. Um, what interests me the most is the fact they picked Puppet Master, which is obviously a hard carry combined with the Mage Bane hard carry. I mean,
yes.
what do you think about it? I am interested by how they're going to utilize both of the heroes and how they're going to spread the farm. But I do think there is a little bit of potential there.
Um, I think it's okay to pick up another core with a Puppet Master, but I would like it to be more of a semi core, not a hard carry, which Magebane is. I feel like they might be kind of forced into too passive of a playstyle with both a Magebane and a Puppet Master, at least for the early stages of the game until Puppet can start to make that space for a Magebane with something like a Portal Key or an Assassin Shroud pickup. Um, but yeah, I just want to kind of touch. So you talked about the Puppet and the Magebane pick. We also had a Geomancer pick up on the fourth pick, and then we had the Cursed and Doctor Repulsor come out for Hex. So they are going to both be running duo core. We're going to have a Doctor and a Draconis here, which, by the way, they're running long lane Draconis. This, if you were to ask me where was Draconis going to go, I would never have told you long lane, and especially with a Rampage. Uh, so they're already throwing me off. Um, and then we have a Curse with Doctor Repulsor. So Curse going to be the main support this game, with Rampage as the secondary support. And they have Bubbles going up mid, 2 versus 1 against Rhapsody and Magebane. So already some unconventional lane setups, as we have the kill lane from Donkey Kong and the Deadwood and the Geomancer up against the Doctor and the Accursed. But will they be able to kill this Doctor with an Accursed behind him, with the ability to heal and shield him? What do you think about well, not only that lane, but all 3 of the lanes? This is a very interesting laning stage coming out.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, hold that thought, actually. Here comes the charge from Duder, and that's going to be the Bloodlust kill. And, man, I told you, this Rampage, it's just so annoying. What can Puppet Master really do? He was almost in his tower there, as he got kind of dove on by the Stampede.
Yeah, well, with relation to your question, there's not a lot he can do. The charge from Rampage is so quickly, and with the Puppet show cast time, it's actually quite difficult for Puppet to cancel the charge. And then once the charge hits, you know, he gets the Horn Strike, which is at 18% slow. So you then combine that with Draconis, his also attack damage, and his Q spell. They're going to kill heroes very quickly, and as we can see, Puppet Master is quite squishy, so obviously very good Bloodlust kill for them. What then?
Yeah, the Fire Shield actually gets Doctor the distance to avoid the Rotten Grasp, so they're going to go for a kill here on the Accursed. This might be a kill, though. Will he look to deny himself with the Cauterize? It looks like he was unable to get that off, so harder to kill the Doctor than the Accursed, it looks like, as the Accursed, once his spells are not available, he becomes vulnerable. But are you surprised that he puts a point in the Seer and doesn't put more points into the heal or the shield being played as a primary support this game?
I have to say I'm very surprised by the Seer pickup. I thought he would have just gone for a typical kind of build where players tend to max the shield.
Yeah.
Jump onto.
Doctor, he could be in some trouble now. Curse is not here. And one more log throw, the health potion, it's not going to save him as Geomancer ticks that one off. So the bottom lane is not going as expected early on, as the kill lane, they pick up some levels and they start to become disruptive for the Accursed and the Doctor. And this is where you could argue the Doctor Repulsor pick, he does tend to struggle as a hero. The early laning stages, before he picks up that ludicrous speed, he becomes very vulnerable to lockdown, as he's unable to fly away. We're going to see a charge coming into the mid lane here. It forces the blink back from Sasuke, and dude will have to conclude his vroom vroom noises as he no longer is charging across the map. But we see Rhapsody, she rotates away from the mid lane now to the top lane, where they will, I guess, look to address the Draconis. Do you like this movement from Rhapsody to leave the mid lane? As
Yep,
Bubbles...
just watching bot lane.
Oh, so bot lane, we have action going on here. Doctor is going to be fine. Geomancer could be in some trouble, but the Cauterize, I believe, wouldn't be enough damage for a kill there. Haste to Deadwood, by the way, so he's not done just yet. He has a Rotten Grasp ready to go. I think he's thinking about maybe going back in, but we're going to have health potions pop by both sides. Meanwhile, in the top lane, the dive comes in onto the Rhapsody. The spells are on cooldown from Puppet Master. Draconis even going to cut the wave here. He's going to pull it to the jungle camp here. And do you think that Donkey Kong needs to address this Draconis, as he's kind of in a very vulnerable position here, being up in the top lane? Like, do you think it's fine that they're allowing him to have space, or do you think they should be addressing him early on?
I don't think it's fine at all. I think especially because Snooky's playing it, and you know, we're 5 minutes into the game, he's close to 400 GPM, which is the highest out of any hero. I think he can really take off this game, because Hellborn, you know, if they're not careful.
I missed another kill there. I don't know if you caught that one, but
no, I missed it as well.
I think Accursed was not in the area, as his spells are still off cooldown. So I think Doctor getting caught 1 versus 2 there, going down to the lockdown. There's not a whole lot he can do if he gets caught by a Dick Stun into a Rotten Grasp, as he's unable to move away from that. Dude is
Yeah,
in
my
sniper position here, but he's gonna get the bottle sips from Znicki. Looks like he'll go for that top rune at the 6 minute mark, so they're gonna hold off on the charges for now. But Bot River looks like Bubbles. I think he conceded that rune if I'm not mistaken to the Geomancer.
top lane.
Oh my god, I am just all over the place with the action. I am very sorry, stream. But, dude, it looks like he went in for the charge, but was the tower assisting for any pressure there? Doctor, he's going to get Willowmakered here. Is he going to actually escape this? The save's coming in from a curse. They turn it around and take out Geomancer. Will they be able to make the big plays here? It's still only level 5 on the Doctor, so no Zoom Zoom available. And looks like he'll be just fine. Meanwhile, in the top lane, dude is back here with the charge. Draconis, he is getting healed down from the Rhapsody dance floor. Or Disco Inferno. He's doing the jukes in the trees. He will get the regen rune from the bottle. And will it be enough? He uses the breath there. Geomancer comes in. They do get the kill onto Rhapsody, so it is 2 kills. Will do be able to make this game. He's got 15 charges on the power supply. He's charging into the mid lane. I think he's got Magebane charged, actually. But he's actually going to continue this charge. Oh no, the tower. Oh, one more tower hit needed. He will be just fine. Calculated all the way through. But clutch timing of that regen rune. Here comes the Volcano. The Kelfield stunning up Magebane Bubbles. He's going to use the take cover. He's got the Earth's Grasp tick down on him, but he does sacrifice himself for that Magebane kill. Geomancer, he's going to pop the power supply. He uses the Dig coming up in 3 more seconds, but the bottle sips coming in from Draconis. He's thinking about turning it around. He misses the breath, but here comes Rampage with another charge. Rotten Grass will take him out, though, so they do trade the Geomancer for the Rampage. And we've got 13 hero kills here so far, BKB, in under 8 minutes. Is this what you were expecting with Rampage in the game?
With Rampage in the game, it certainly was. Even with Draconis long lane, I knew it was going to be quite a lot of activity going on. But this is
on grass mid lane. Here comes the silence from Bubbles. The Willowmaker lands onto Draconis and Bubbles. He will fall as well. 2 kills going the way of Donkey Kong. They pick up 1 on the Deadwood and 1 on the Rhapsody.
I mean, Chris, we've casted some crazy games, especially in recent months, but this is one of the craziest laning phases I think I've ever seen. It's non-stop. It's ridiculous. I mean, you know, with Rampage you're going to have a lot of fun, and it's going to be quite an entertaining laning phase. But with the way that the game is going, especially in all the lanes, there's always been action, and it's really good to watch. But I think I have to give a lot of credit to Rampage. I think he is doing so much work at the moment. I do think diving the kid onto Magebane with Draconis was very smart, because even with Magebane being able to leap away, Draconis can always chase him as he jumps onto his ultimate. So I think Legion are really utilising the heroes very nicely as it stands. I was a bit surprised that Dr. Repulsor and Curse were struggling early on, but it seems like Doctor is now 330 GPM, so he's not doing too badly himself. But I think you asked me during the start of the game, would Geomancer and Deadwood have enough potential to kill the Doctor with the Curse behind him? I would have said no, but what they've done is they've actually timed their spells really nicely together, and the coordination has been fantastic. As there could be a jump onto Geo, he's going to be fine.
Yeah, so I was looking at the creep stats, and we have 2 deaths on Doctor, but he still is by far the top creep farmer in the game with 68 creeps killed. And I think a lot of that is due to him being in the jungle quite a bit, but at the same time, you pointed out he's 350 gold per minute with those 2 deaths, so he's found the farm this game to really keep himself in a comfortable spot.
Yeah, I wanted to. Oh, Geomancer digs in. I'll let you take it.
Earth's Grasp, he will get the Fire Shield in time. Meanwhile, I was looking at the top tower. It does get denied here by Puppet Master. Draconis is here to the Volcano, and that will be the kill onto Rhapsody. Puppet will just TP on out. Unfortunately, nobody is Russian, so they don't get the TP stopper there on the Puppet Master with that Chains That Bind ultimate. But, so what do you think about Bus going for the Steam Boots here? Is this an old school player doing an old school build, BKB, or do you like the Steam Boots, as we generally see the Ghost Marchers on Puppet nowadays?
Yeah, I don't think Robust is fully adapted to the changes.
Oh, Rotten Grasp catches Draconis there. Really nice Rotten Grass as he spots him out with that Ward of Sight placed by Bunny Lover. Capitalizes. No Willowmaker needed.
Yeah, so I was just about to say, I think with Puppet Master played by Probust, I think a lot of his plays and the way that he's playing the game at the moment is quite old school defense.
That looked so fucking annoying, man. He just got charged into kelped into kidnapped. He just got dragged. He got stunned by a kelp and then dragged across the kelp and stunned again. It just looked so funny. Boy, oh boy, I'm glad that's not me playing the Puppet Master.
Yeah, it's a good synergy. That's one thing we didn't mention either, you know, with the Rampage change and the new ultimate. I do think the new ultimate is probably more effective than the old one. I think, obviously, with the old one, it was heavily reliant on burst damage, and it was very good in early game.
Here comes the Stampede again from Rampage. Doctor's here. He's going to try to get the opposite charges off. He jumps in onto the Rhapsody. The Protective Melody preventing a good amount of damage now. Will it make them get the escapes? It looks like Rhapsody will sacrifice herself, and Geomancer, he also falls, so they're not going to pick up any kills here. The numbers very much advantage, in favor of Hex here. They get 2 kills for nothing. Deadwood, he will be a little too slippery to make the escape. Oh no, here comes the charge coming in. He might go for the TP actually. I think he's in trouble. That charge is going to do a lot of work here. Here comes the Shell Surf from Bubbles. Snipes him out with the Song of the Sea.
What do you think about having the new Rampage ultimate back? Do you like seeing it, or do you prefer the old one?
I like this one quite a lot actually. At first I was kind of leery about bringing it back, but I feel like the old one there was too many ways to counter it, like because you kind of knew when it was coming. You could either Void Talisman the damage or Storm Spirit it, or I think there was a lot of counterplay to the old one, like which made it kind of very lackluster as an ultimate. And this one, I think it's more of a disable than the old one was, so it just kind of makes Rampage a little bit more useful.
I think so. I think it gives it a little bit more versatility as well. Or versatility. Excuse me if I pronounce that wrong. Because what you can do, yeah, so what you can do with it, as we kind of saw with the bubbles, and it's something I wanted to kind of bring up, is how you can utilize it with the heroes.
Rotten Grasp in the bot lane will miss, but the Dickstone will connect. Will he be able to get in range for a Willowmaker? Here comes the TP support. We do have Rampage charging from across the map. He is almost here with the Vroom Vrooms. Here comes the Volcano from Draconis. The Crystal Field is down, and the Rampage will stun up the Deadwood, but Puppet Master is here with the port. There's the Willowmaker on top, but here comes a 3-man Kelfield. Protective Melody going to prevent any follow-up initially, but here comes Doctor with the Zoom Zoom. He's going to go in for the Rhapsody. One more auto attack will bring him down, and now Geomancer will fall to the bubbles, and Draconis is here with a breath on it too. Doctor is not done just yet. The Voodoo Puppet is down, but they will all fall, and it's a hat trick coming out for Fa on the Doctor Repulsor. The only one to survive is the Mage Man. He will blink in. Will the Mana Rift one-shot him? Yes, it will, as Bubbles jumps in and takes a bit of that damage, but now Magebane, he might have paid for it with his life as he ports in way too late to that team fight. He does get the 1 kill, but it ends up being a genocide coming out for Hex as they clean up Donkey Kong here at the 14-minute mark.
Yeah, as we saw the power of Magebane with the ultimate, pretty much one shot in Doctor Repulsor, which you're not too surprised about. So a bit more
Geomancer, he could be in some trouble. He's got that Soul Trap debuff on him. Here comes Rampage, but the Staccato Stun going to stun him up. Here comes the Dick Stun onto the bubbles, but the shield will keep him nice and healthy. Draconis, he's trying to make the escape. Here comes the kidnap from Rampage onto the Deadwood. Rhapsody. He's trying to get the kill onto Draconis, but he will fall before he can. And now Deadwood, he will get himself the distance to safety as Puppet Master is here as well. But so much momentum coming out for Hex here. Deadwood getting a little bit overconfident. Here comes the Shell Surf into the Song of the Sea from Bubbles, and it's an ultimate warrior streak coming out for Azop as Deadwood ends up falling. So, as I was saying, Hex riding a lot of momentum here, and Draconis and Dr. Repulsor, both the top farmers in the game. Draconis pulling up 3,000 gold, so you know what that means, BKB. Maca Brilliance is around the corner, and is that going to be very scary here for for Donkey Kong to deal with.
It is, because it means they can transition into the late game quite nicely, because he will farm incredibly quickly. He will boost his GPM up to 550 to 600 within the next 10 minutes, I'd imagine. And I think that it gives them a lot of potential to really fight the Mage Bane and Puppet Master later on. I mean, I do think that with the mock, they all look to take team fights with it, because it just dishes out an incredible amount of damage. I'll let you take the
Yeah, we had a dive coming out there as Rampage charged in with a curse, but no lockdown. Willowmaker comes in onto Rampage. Will he actually have the damage to bring him down, actually? Here comes the dig stun. The Earth's Grasp will snipe him out. Meanwhile, Bubbles takes out Magebane. I missed that one completely, but not sure if he got caught on low HP, but Accursed, he's manning up here in the tower. He wants that tower, but it needs a couple more hits. He's just attacking it. That looks a little silly. The deny comes in from Deadwood, and now Accursed, he will actually be a little bit too tanky. Will he fall? Draconis does get to force attack him from the puppet show. And the Geomancer, I think dot damage actually brought down the Accursed there. So it ends up being a 2 for 3 as they got the kill on the supports. Both the Geomancer and the Rhapsody falling as well. But Puppet has a Shroud now, so safe to say they're going to need some movement from him to kind of get them back in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Shroud pickup a lot. You know, as we kind of know, it is probably the most core item on Puppet Master, just for setting up and to as he goes into the woods.
Yep, we're going to see him try to catch the Draconis there. Did he spot him out? Or does he just kind of... I missed that actually. Did he know Puppet was there?
No, I think it was just a bit of game sense. I think he just had a gut feeling the Puppet Master was coming because he can't see him on the map. So I think he just kind of knew subconsciously. That's my guess. I don't think they had any vision, so that would probably be the most likely reason for it.
So he's going to get a Ward of Sight down here in the middle of the jungle. So he's trying to hunt the Draconis down. Going to see Deadwood here with the Veiled Rod as well. But man, Snooki is so patient. You should see him play Keeper of the Forest. He will just sit there in the trees for a minute, and that's not even a flame. That's just his place. I mean, he's a very patient player, and for good reason. As he is definitely expecting something to be up, so he is definitely reading the game very, very well. While this is going on, as they're trying to set up a kill on Draconis, Magebane goes down to Doctor and the Rampage, so we didn't get to talk about it, but he picked up the Icon and the Gnome's Wisdom. This is your typical Fa item build, as Bunny Lover gets caught here in the mid lane by Bubbles. With, I think, Rampage charged for the assist. I didn't see Rampage actually there, but pretty easy kill there for the Spell Shard's Bubbles. So he has quite a bit of damage there with the Mystic Rune.
Yeah, you speak about Snooki being very patient on Draconis. Probusk has also been incredibly patient. I think he is so desperate to pick up this kill. And I think because he's not.
Yeah, keep going. Sorry.
That's all right. I think because he's got his Shroud and he's not really farming. I think he just wants to make as much use of it as possible. You know, he knows that he's not going to be able to out farm Legion as it stands. So picking up those kills onto cores is what he has to do now. You know, Snooki, I would like to see him maybe go into mid lane and push out the creeps there, but I think they're waiting to set something up, so we do see a TP coming in.
Off with that plushie's head!
Here comes Doctor. Willowmaker lands, and Bubbles will end up falling. The Crystal Field stuns Doctor in the background. Here's Magebane now, and they will bring down the Rampage as well. But Doctor, he's not done. He's thinking about jumping back in, but he decides that his mana pool is a little bit too low, so they get... It actually ends up being a 2 for 2. So Rampage and Bubbles die in exchange for Rhapsody and Deadwood. An almost even exchange, I think I would call it. But sorry, I kept laughing at the way Puppet and Draconis were playing. It's just so silly to me. They're all just like they're each waiting for the other to show themselves, and we might finally have what we were waiting for: the clash. And more so, Puppet Master just getting the burst on Draconis and getting to say hello and a quick goodbye.
That's got to feel so good. I'm not sure how long he waited for, but it's got to be at least 3 or 4 minutes. I mean, he was sat in the jungle as top lane.
The creeps are not removing that regen rune, which, well, I think Fa might be dead now. We'll see if they have the damage to bring him down. He gets a little bit of distance there, but this might just delay as he does sidestep the rotten grasp, actually. Oh, yeah, I think now he's dead. Needed a little bit of more mana to go down that cliff there.
Yeah, he's trying to use his regen rune effectively, and it was going pretty well for him. But then so many Hellborn heroes turned up, cancelled it, and he was almost stuck really. But no, we haven't really touched upon Magebane, who does have a cleaver and
Oh,
a
yes.
quick blade. So, what do you think? Do you think we're likely to see the obvious route of jump? Oh, hold that thought.
Yeah, we're gonna have a jump here as they get the catch on the Puppet Master. And will there be any more follow-up? Magebane is thinking about blinking in. Comes the jump from Bubbles. Rhapsody will be healing herself up. Curse pops the flame consumption, but Magebane, he was not interested in going here. And I think for good reason. Draconis was waiting for the commitment from Hellborn to use that volcano and counter initiate. But so your question was if we're gonna see what, Firebrand on the Magebane?
Yeah, I mean, the obvious route that we tend to see pretty often is drop Tisbane into Shonku if possible, Queen's Heart, that kind of build with a wing bow thereafter. Um, Sometimes I have seen players go for, and the question's answered, is the Firebrand.
We're gonna see a jump here. Rampage diving very deep. They actually do get the kill as Draconis jumps in with the volcano. Now he is in a very vulnerable spot. Will they be able to get the catch onto him? G-Master uses the dig stun. He will not get the find. The crystal field being used as well. But now here comes Doctor in the background. And the Mana Rift on top. Will he be taken down? Yes, he will. Willowmaker for the exclamation mark. And now Geomancer, he will fall as well. Here's the protective melody, but it's not going to be preventing too much damage. The kidnap happens onto Magebane, and it's a full genocide in favor of Hex. The only player to die is the Doctor Repulsor, who gets essentially one-shotted by that Mana Rift, but that will conclude the team fight.
Yeah, well played from Legion. Doctor, I'm not sure why he flew in so far, because it should have meant that his mana would be ultimated by Magebane, which is what we saw. He was taken out very quickly, but then Legion, the rest of the heroes are so farmed and so strong. The Bubbles, his spell shards, his damage is definitely quite high. As you saw, Rampage Kidnap is there for Magebane as he waits to use it onto him. So it's a good shot.
Bubbles gonna get puppet showed, and he will fall. A worthy sacrifice for the already dead Raxes.
Definitely. But no, just to kind of go back a step. I mean, obviously in hindsight, it's going to be different now with relation to the question I'm about to ask. But what do you think personally when it comes to Nullfire Blade and Magebane? Have you ever seen? So I know in the past you used to play with your carry player. I forget his name from Complexity. What was his name?
Formless.
Formless. That's it. Formless. I'll let you take the action first, and then we'll talk about it after.
Oh, bottom lane, yeah, we have a Dick Stun being missed here. Red Nose is coming at Geo. Here comes the Crystal Field down, but he will get kidnapped and he will get pulled out of the Crystal Field, so he will fall. Now Rhapsody could be in some trouble here, but here's Magebane. They are rooted down in place. The Mana Rift on top dealing lots of damage, but it's a double tap coming out for Rampage before he does end up falling. And they do get the kill on their curse. Meanwhile, Puppet Master finds Draconis and gets the solo kill pickoff there. So despite having the Mock of Brilliance, Draconis still only sitting on the 1300 life. And still able to get one shot by the Puppet Master. Barbed Armor on the Rampage, actually, I think that's what got the kill.
Yeah, I was just about to
on
mention
Magebane.
that. Yeah. It was literally, and they're talking about it now. He ultimated onto Rampage with the barbs, as you say, and it just one-shot him. So he got the one shot onto Rampage and he killed himself straight away. It was almost like a kind of suicide attempt.
I actually missed the barbed getting picked up there. But yeah, so they one-shot each other. Very, very fun interaction, of course, Barbed Armor.
Yeah, I've got to say, I've got to be honest. You know, I'm hoping there is some sort of nerf to the item next patch because it just seems to one-shot heroes, and I don't know if that was intended. But heroes like Rampage, one-shot, and heroes like Mage Bane, you would never see it normally, and it's something I think is a little bit too strong at the moment. But I'm going to hold that thought as it could
Ooh.
be another job.
Bubbles blink to the perfect position there to avoid the Puppet Master who was sneaking up on him with the Shroud. That was a very well placed portal key. Um,
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you, what do you think, and in relation to Formless, obviously being such a fantastic Mage Bane player from many years ago,
mhm.
did he, or do you personally like to see Nullfire and Mage Bane, or do you think Jomta's Bane is the go-to item straight after that Rune Cleaver?
I think back when he played, Nullfire was not a meta item. Like, it was not a very
Okay.
strong item. I think the item got buffed once he quit. But I think nowadays that item is much, much more viable. But as far as on a Mage Bane goes, as we see Rhapsody, I think will fall here. The heal keeping her alive for a bit, actually, but she will die. Um, I don't know if he necessarily needs it, but going up against a barbed armor, I guess you could argue it wouldn't be a terrible pickup. I do think the Geometer's Bane being able to remove like the bubble silence, um, he might get Soul Trap debuffed or have that fire dot on him. I think there are some uses for the Geobane, as well as of course the obvious split pushing and more mobility with movement speed and whatnot. So I think we will still see the Geometer's Bane. I think there's more reasons for that versus the Nullfire Blade. But as a follow-up item, he could possibly build one later on. Uh, just to have the purge effect for the barbed, the more mana combustion for Doctor, as well as a way to, well, now break the Nullstone so he can, get that mana rift onto Doctor as well. I think has its uses. Uh, do you also agree that like the Geobane is a little bit more valuable, or do you think it could just go into a Nullfire right now?
I think the Geobane is definitely valuable, not only for the team fighting, but for the potential split pushing. Although speaking of that, it's going to be very difficult because Legion are pushing quite heavily now. The one problem I have with Nullfire Blades is, you know, as we kind of know, it does purge barbed armor, but that is only at level 3. So to get to level 3,
I think it's two, level two.
up 2, it could be, yeah,
Level three
sorry.
is self purge.
Okay, okay, it's interesting. I thought it was the other way around for some reason.
Oh, look at this, the puppet show. He's being tied down. He's gonna get the flame consumption off though. Okay, everyone will be just fine. Dude is charging in. He's gonna get the kidnap off on the puppet. Puppet cannot move, and he cannot attack, and that means he will die. The volcano is down. Draconis is here with the fire. Here comes the protective melody, but two players are already dead, and now Rhapsody, she will end up falling. Deadwood also dies, and now Magebane, he's the last one alive. Deadwood will buy back here, as well as the Geomancer. They're going to do everything they can to try to pick up some kills here, but 5 players are still alive for the side of Hex, and nobody will end up falling, at least for now. They are in the base, all in a rotten grasp.
This just looks like a standard Hex game to me.
Yeah, there's a very casual low HP tower in the mid lane that's Oh, did Bubbles just die to a tower?
I think so, I missed it. I'm too busy watching Rampage and
Here comes another flame consumption. We have 3 players alive, or 4 players alive, as the Puppet Master is now respawned, so all 5 are alive.
that was like that was almost like a Spartan defense 300 against the Persians as they were being chased and attacked. Quite funny actually, because the Curse and Rampage were literally in the front lines, just like, you know, trying to tank as much as they could.
This is for Sparta!
Exactly. You should hopefully be aware of that history, given your recognition degrees.
Yes. Well, Magebane, he's got enough for a Blessed Orb. We'll see if he goes for that Geometer's Bane, as he's getting quite close to it.
If you can still hear me or not.
I can hear you.
Oh, Apologies, my game just froze for about 10 seconds. Um, but no, I was just thinking, I think this game in general has come down to how well Legion have farmed. Draconis Doctor 450 plus GPM, Bubbles is over 400, Hellborn, Mage Rain is the highest. And if Mage Rain is the highest hero, he really, in terms of GPM, really has to take out a couple of heroes in his team fights for the other heroes to do as much as they can too.
Rampage is in the front lines here. He's tanking. Here comes a protected Melody. Doctor flies in, cancels that with the opposite charges, and now he's zooming around. The Draconis damage is real as well as he picks up a hat trick on Snooki. Buyback is going to happen here from the Mage Man as well as the Geomancer. But Geomancer, he's just going to melt. They are just too tanky and too farmed here on the side of Hexes. They're able to dive past the tower at this point. And I think we're at that similar point to game number 1 here, where they are just in such a large golden experience lead. We will see Mage Bane go for the bubbles here. Here comes the barbed armor onto Rampage. Puppet Master just gets melted in his base at the tier 4s. They are not even taking the Raxes. They are just killing the shrines and everything in the shrines paths as well. So only Mage Bane, he will be alive. Here comes a Mana Rift on the bubbles. He will get the 1 kill. And they will concede right as they kill Azov. The GGs are called, and game 2 will go to Hex again here. So final thoughts on game number 2, BKB?
Yeah, it's a good game. Not quite as good as the first in my perspective, but I think the first just had Predator and Artillery, who were such fun heroes to watch. This game, I think a lot of it came down to the picks. Legion did have Draconis on Snooki. They had um, Doctor Repulse onto 4.
Yeah.
Two players that play those heroes to such a high level. And we definitely saw how they did that in this game. But also, I think what almost decided it as well was the laning phase. I think Legion's laning phase was just so good. Apart from the Occurs Doctor lane, perhaps you could argue they were struggling a bit for the first 10 minutes, but they did manage to turn that. So overall, I think all 3 lanes were very good. With Bubbles in the middle lane, what was good about that was the fact that he was so difficult to kill. So even though you do have a Mage Bane and a Rhapsody, they're never going to really have the potential until Mage Bane hits level 6 to kill the Bubbles. And Bubbles was then able to, survive quite frequently. He had some decent GPM, farmed his spell shards, and then as he finished the game, we see him at 435 GPM, which is pretty solid compared to the Hellborn heroes who were stuck at 389 as the highest. So the way Legion farmed overall, the way they laned, I think were their real strong points. And then the fact that they had some, really good heroes on some of their core players was also quite a beneficial thing for them. Um, Donkey Kong in the draft, I think it's a little bit greedy. I do think it's kind of weak as well. I don't think there's enough early to mid-game damage, apart from the Deadwood and the Geomancer. And you compare it to Legion, who have an Accursed, which is gonna destroy quite a few spells. It's always going to be in Legion's favor with the picks as well, I think.
Yeah, I think we touched upon the Mage Bane with the Puppet Master. 2 heroes that kind of need some time to get going. Um, and the Puppet Master, he was in a 1 versus 2 to start things off. So he was the hero, I think, that was supposed to transition into mid game, making that space for the Mage Bane. So I think the fact that he didn't have a good start, with conjunction of the draft being too greedy, as you pointed out, it didn't really allow them to get the ball rolling. Puppet unable to really get that quick shroud and start to make that space. Mage Bane, I think, just a little bit too greedy of a pick for this game, as I think the idea there was to counter the Doctor Repulsor pick, but I think it just made the lineup need too much time to get going. I don't know if you agree with that, but um, I
I
almost
think
feel like it would have been better for them to have Mage Bane have the worst start and have Puppet Master get the better start, as the Mage Bane would, he would need much more time to really come online, whereas the Puppet Master, I think him having the bad start was not what they were looking for.
Yeah, as you say, like you made a really good point. I think the issue they had was they never really, as you say, got the fire onto Puppet Master. They never really got themselves going. It's like they had an engine in a car that was ready to go, and they were almost ready to kind of, kick start their momentum, but it never really happened. And I think a lot of that came down to the top lane, and all credit to Rampage and Draconis, who took the tower very, very early on, collected a lot of space from that, and killed Puppet Master so many times that Puppet Master had to rush for the Assassin's Shroud because he had no space to farm. And he only got the one kill with it, which wasn't enough to kind of swing momentum towards them. So yeah, overall, just well played from Legion, and something that was very impressive to watch from their draft.
Yeah, and I was very caught off guard by the long lane Draconis with Rampage, and I don't know if that may have also caught Donkey Kong off guard, but I think the decision, whoever made that decision from Hex to send Draconis to the long lane, I think it was very wise because as we saw, he got more or less a free farming lane as Puppet Master couldn't really contest 1 versus 2, as we even saw the Rampage able to dive Puppet Master for the Bloodlust in the tower. So it just goes to show you that the lane setup was very smart to send Bubbles in that 2 versus 1 mid where he got more or less full experience and even some decent farm being put there. So they spread the farm very well on the side of Hex throughout their laning stage.
Yep, 100 100%.
Okay, so I think that will conclude game number 2. It looks like the two teams are done.